In June of 2011, the Swedish wreck divers Peter Lindberg and Dennis Orsberg stumbled upon something no one could explain.
Deep beneath the restless waves of the northern Baltic Sea lies a baffling enigma, a massive formation that defies every known law of nature. Its sharp edges, strange markings, and an enduring scar in the seabed point to a violent event that simply should not exist in this calm, stable region.
Nearly 300 feet below the surface of the Gulf of Bothnia, the sonar suddenly showed an astonishing image.
But why do all attempts to scan or film it with modern technology fail within a close radius? What if this is not just a geological oddity, but something far more disturbing? An ancient relic of technology sealed in stone, hiding in plain sight beneath the ocean's dark veil? The unexplained physical scar. Deep beneath the Baltic Sea lies a massive formation that first caught attention not just for its shape, but for the violent scar trailing behind it. This trench, stretching nearly 300 meters across the seabed, looks like a deep gouge carved out of the ocean floor, pointing directly to the resting place of the mysterious object. Unlike the usual scattered fragments or slow sediment shifts expected in marine environments, this furrow stands out as sharp, clear, and stubbornly persistent against the relentless forces of underwater currents and shifting sands. Its very existence demands a forceful physical event that no ordinary geological process in the region can explain. The Baltic Sea floor is a dynamic environment where any disturbance typically erodes or gets buried within years, sometimes even months. Yet this long, linear scar has endured for thousands of years without losing its definition or depth. It appears as if a massive, dense body carved a straight path before coming to an abrupt and precise stop, defying natural sediment deposition that would normally erase traces of such activity. Observers can see displaced sediment piled neatly at the edges and the furrow's terminus, which resembles the end of a runway rather than a random gouge. What makes this scar particularly mystifying is that it does not conform to the usual signatures of natural causes such as underwater landslides, tectonic activity, or glacial movement. Its perfectly straight trajectory and the preserved outline of the furrow contradict the natural chaos expected in glacial transport or tectonic shifts, both of which leave more irregular and fragmented marks. The object at the end fits this pattern of odd precision, raising questions about what type of force or entity created such a mark on the seafloor. This physical disturbance is not a passive relic, but a violent signature frozen in time. It reveals that something immensely heavy, solid, and moving at a tremendous speed tore through the seabed. This discovery challenges conventional geological wisdom, especially because the object, while enormous, is oddly out of place and separated from the surrounding sediment, as if it had been forcibly planted there. The seabed flatness and the region's geological stability further deepen the puzzle. Since the Baltic Sea lies on one of the planet's most stable continental shields, free from tectonic fault lines or volcanic activity, no natural forces can produce or transport an object of this size and density through such a long, straight path. Any natural boulder shifted by Ice Age glaciers would bear marks of abrasion and randomness instead. Yet here, the evidence points to something deliberately halted and set apart with surgical precision. The anomaly's isolation is peculiar, surrounded by sediments that make it stand out sharply. It does not blend into its environment. Instead, it looms as an alien intruder, breaking the continuity of the seafloor. Geological processes that typically connect objects to bedrock or sediment layers are absent here. This detachment signals an extraordinary origin, one that seems to demand a new perspective on what could operate beneath the waves. Experts examining this scar were forced to reconsider the scale of impact the object must have had on the seafloor. To withstand the ocean's pressure and remain intact, the mass must possess extraordinary density and hardness. Anything weaker would have eroded or sunk deeper over the millennia. Its survival challenges assumptions about underwater erosion and sedimentation. The furrow's persistence invites us to imagine a force unlike any common natural phenomenon, a trajectory that could only be made by something massive and immensely powerful, moving with directed energy. But the mystery remains. What exactly created this scar? And how did it come to rest so perfectly within this silent abyss? These questions linger at the heart of the Baltic Sea anomaly. Despite all this, the answers have remained just out of reach, hidden beneath layer upon layer of ocean darkness and sediment. More revelations were necessary to understand what clings stubbornly at the end of this unnerving trench. The strange scar leads directly into another layer of claimed mystery, the strange and powerful force field that protects the anomaly from modern technology's probing eyes. Geological impossibilities. The location of the Baltic Sea anomaly adds yet another layer of confusion, placing it in a geopolitically well-mapped but geologically quiet zone. The Gulf of Bothnia, where the anomaly was discovered, sits atop an ancient continental shield. This expanse is one of the most stable regions on Earth, lacking any active tectonic faults, earthquakes, or volcanic activity for millions of years. Geological history here is marked by calm and slow change, not violent eruptions or sudden shifts. This stability makes the anomaly's existence outright impossible under known geological rules. The massive rock formation, identified as basalt, a type of volcanic rock formed from molten lava, should not be found here. No lava flows or volcanic eruptions have been recorded or even inferred in this area for tens of millions of years. Basalt's presence in such an environment is as shocking as finding a fresh iceberg in the middle of a desert. The anomaly's geology is disconnected from surrounding seabed structures in both material and form. Basalt is distinguishable from the sedimentary rocks common on the Baltic Sea floor, yet here, this volcanic rock appears isolated, with no geological continuity linking it to nearby formations. This disconnect defies natural formation patterns, where rock layers typically age, shift, or erode consistently over large areas. Traditionally, the movement of massive boulders across the seafloor, attributed to glacial activity, would create irregular, scratched paths, not the sharply defined straight furrow observed here. Nor could glacial transport account for the basalt itself, as glaciers do not carry volcanic rock from distant volcanic sites and deposit it neatly in stable continental shield regions millions of years old. Without volcanic activity and tectonic movement, other natural geological explanations fall short. No submarine volcanoes are present, no hotspots exist below the Baltic, and no seismic activity could have powered such an event. The area is geologically dormant, making this anomaly a profound riddle wrapped in ancient stone. The unique geological context raises crucial questions about the anomaly's origin. If not natural, then what? The evidence pushes scientists into uncharted territory, forced to consider extraordinary possibilities that challenge standard geological paradigms. Exploration teams and researchers grapple with explaining how weathered sedimentary environments surround a mysterious, hard volcanic mass with such geometric precision. Some proposed natural alternatives, including meteorite impacts or remnants of glacial processes, were found inadequate when tested against the anomaly's characteristics. A meteorite impact, for example, would scatter material chaotically and melt rock into glassy shards rather than preserving sharp corners and architectural features. The anomaly defies these expectations at every turn. The physical and geological contradictions deepen when we consider the anomaly's hardened surface bears signs of intense thermal alteration. Its texture is rough and pitted, bearing evidence of extreme heat exposure, yet no volcano or magma flow has been linked to the site, creating a paradox within the natural science framework. These geological impossibilities signal that the Baltic Sea anomaly is unlike any known terrestrial formation. It challenges everything experts understand about Earth science, signaling a phenomenon or object far beyond previously accepted explanations. And what lies beyond these natural laws soon reveals itself when approaching the site triggers another incredible phenomenon. The area's defiance of geological explanation is matched only by the strange technological barrier that envelops it, blocking all electronic attempts to study the site. Electronic interference zone. When explorers return to the Baltic Sea anomaly armed with the latest technology, They expected clearer answers, but instead found themselves defeated by an unseen force. At a distance greater than 200 meters, all systems operated normally, but moving closer brought chaos. Urgent electronic failures erupted across every instrument aboard the ship. Phones lost signal instantly, navigation lights flickered and went dark, and high-resolution sonar screens filled with blinding white noise. This disruption was not random, but alarmingly consistent, switching on and off with eerie precision as the vessel crossed an invisible boundary. Retreating beyond the 200-meter radius restored normal function. Advancing closed in again, and the systems failed just as predictably. It was as if the anomaly was guarded by an invisible wall of energy, selectively neutralizing electronic signals and digital transmissions. Such strong interference is unheard of in a natural geological context. Even the richest deposits of magnetic minerals, or iron, common in basalt, could at most cause compass deviations or weak electromagnetic anomalies. They cannot produce a field strong enough to disable modern digital circuitry or drain device batteries on command. This points to an unknown phenomenon or technology active at the site. The electronic blackout raised profound psychological pressures on the expedition team. Their most advanced tools, which normally pierce the ocean's murky depths with ease, were rendered blind in the anomaly's sphere of influence. No sonar image could be captured, no satellite phone call made, no camera recording assured. All technology was forced into silent failure. Signs indicate this invisible defense might be caused by intense magnetic fields, radiation, or some other unidentified energy emissions surrounding the object. This environmental resistance hints at a protective system hiding the anomaly's true nature, actively rejecting human attempts at remote observation. The region becomes a technology forbidden zone, a place where science must revert to its oldest methods. In the face of this overwhelming interference, the expedition could not rely on robotic or electronic scans to unveil the mystery below. The only option left was to send divers down to confront the anomaly with human eyes and hands. This decision carried enormous risk, but underscored how technology, despite its leaps forward, can still be rendered helpless by nature's, or something else's, unexpected power. The boundary of interference forced the team to revisit what it means to explore unknown frontiers. When machines fail, curiosity and human bravery must fill the void. The anomaly's rejection of modern technology adds to its aura of menace and mystery, compelling those involved to question what exactly lies hidden beneath. This electronic barrier is more than a technical glitch. It is a fundamental challenge to our assumptions about how man-made tools interact with mysterious underwater phenomena. It signals something beyond mere rock, something alive in its resistance to detection. And so, as all digital eyes dimmed, human senses prepared to take center stage in the unfolding drama deep below the waves, revealing details that no machine had ever seen. This tenuous reliance on human perception allowed explorers to witness signs of strange geometry and unnatural formation, taking the mystery in a new and unsettling direction. The limits of technology. All hopes for a clear and comprehensive scan of the anomaly were dashed by the unrelenting electronic interference surrounding it. The expedition had to confront a humbling reality. Their most advanced acoustic and electromagnetic tools were ineffective within a 200-meter radius of the site. High-resolution sonar, which normally paints the murky sea floor with precise imagery, was reduced to screens filled with static and blinding white noise. This forced the team to accept that technological eyes simply could not penetrate the anomaly's veil. With machinery powerless, the last recourse was to embrace the most ancient method of exploration: human sensory observation. The expedition prepared divers equipped with specialized breathing gas mixtures, capable of withstanding the immense pressures at 90 meters depth. These divers would replace cold machines, relying on intuition, sight, and touch to reveal what no camera or sensor could capture. It was a return to primal exploration, confronting the unknown with human curiosity alone. Descending into near-total darkness and the icy Baltic waters, The divers faced an environment hostile to both body and technology. Visibility was razor-thin. Light from their flashlights barely swept a few meters of cold, opaque water. The obscurity of the deep sea limited what could be seen, making each moment at the object's surface a tense probe into mystery. Any mistake could mean losing sight of the structure altogether. Despite these challenges, human eyes caught startling details the machines had missed. They observed a surface unlike any natural seabed or boulder, rough yet strangely cohesive, with patches resembling scorched stone or overcooked pottery. This texture hinted at a violent history, as if fire or intense heat had played a role in transforming the mass. What emerged was a complex and haunting tableau, layered in contradictions between what was natural and what seemed crafted. The divers' senses confirmed something more than a simple rock formation. When they reached out and touched the object's surface, the rough, pitted texture struck them like scorched concrete mixed with raw, volcanic rock. Yet, their eyes perceived something utterly alien, a landscape of straight lines and sharp angles that no natural erosion could preserve. This paradox of form and feel unsettled even the most experienced team members. It became clear that the anomaly had been programmed to reject not just instruments, but entire systems of remote sensing. Its protection was almost deliberate, an invisible shield preventing technology from invading its domain. This suggested an intelligence behind the curtain, possibly a defense mechanism or residue of some unknown force still active after all these years. The implications were chilling. Time and again, the divers found features that defied natural logic. Areas bulged and dipped in unnatural patterns, contours too precise and angular to be shaped by wind, water, or geological pressure. The combination of contradictory details proposed a reality neither fully geological nor straightforwardly artificial, trapped somewhere in between science and mystery. Every new detail raised the stakes. The failure of technology forced a radical shift in approach and mindset. It emphasized how little we truly understand about the depths below and what might lie concealed by nature's own defenses. Human senses, fragile yet adaptable, became the only bridge to uncovering the anomaly's secrets. The limits of technology compelled a confrontation with raw evidence, a moment where science and human experience intersected in the cold darkness of the Baltic. But what those senses revealed was only the opening act of a profound and unsettling revelation. As the divers continued their perilous inspection, they discovered even more perplexing features, sharp geometric shapes and architectural forms that pushed the boundary of explanation even further. Diver observations. When the divers finally illuminated the anomaly's surface with their handheld flashlights, they expected unusual rock formations, but what they saw shattered all geological expectations. The gently rounded edges of ordinary boulders gave way to straight walls rising sharply at perfect right angles. These sheer plains formed corridors and chambers that no natural process could carve or preserve in the harsh, shifting underwater environment. Parallel walls extended and met with accuracy that defied erosion's smoothing hand. Nature tends to round and soften shapes over time. Water flows, sand movement, and chemical reactions blend hard edges into curves. But here, the divers witnessed the cold precision of angles and lines more typical of human architecture than any known natural sculpture. This geometry clashed violently with everything expected beneath the sea. Perhaps the most startling feature was a structure atop the mass, a perfectly circular hole centered inside a raised square rim. It resembled a window frame or a hatch, something engineered and designed with intent rather than random geological happenstance. The circle within the square spoke of deliberate construction, a hallmark of intelligent design across cultures and eras. Touching these structures only deepened the mystery. The divers reported a surface rough and pitted, as if scorched by flame or fused by intense heat. Their hands felt burned stone, while their eyes saw architectural forms, walls, frames, corridors, combined with this crust of destruction. This grotesque fusion of function and fire challenged the very definitions of natural or artificial. No known stone formations exhibit such sharp right angles preserved over millennia beneath water, nor does any simple volcanic process yield both refined geometry and apparent signs of heat damage without melting or obliterating form. The anomaly appeared as a paradox, an object both sculpted and scorched, ordered and chaotic. These observations left scientists stunned. The structure's design resisted all geological explanations. It looked like a fortress, a machine, or a long-buried vehicle fossilized by some cataclysmic event, rather than merely a rock shaped by natural forces. Such features invite difficult questions about its origin and purpose. The discovery forced experts to rethink assumptions about the object. It was no longer simply a strange geological oddity. It was an artifact, one that demanded hypotheses involving lost technology, ancient civilizations, or something else entirely beyond conventional science. The contrast between its scorched texture and precise architecture defied easy categorization. Faced with these haunting diver accounts, the scientific community confronted a growing unease that the Baltic Sea anomaly might be the petrified remains of something crafted, functional, and far older than any known human technology. The implications suggested a hidden history buried beneath the waves. In this silence, beneath the cold and darkness, the anomaly posed a provocative question. Could this be evidence of a forgotten technological past, frozen in stone and waiting to be understood? The answers would soon hinge on the detailed analysis of samples brought back to the surface, testimony locked in stone and fire, waiting for science to decipher their secrets. Petrographic analysis. Once samples were retrieved from the Baltic Sea anomaly, hopes ran high that laboratory analysis would provide definitive answers. The rock fragments were identified as basalt, an igneous rock formed exclusively when molten volcanic lava cools and solidifies. This discovery deepened the mystery because basalt simply does not belong here. The Baltic Sea region rests on an ancient, extremely stable continental shield, completely devoid of volcanic activity for tens of millions of years. The presence of basalt in such a stable geological setting is as baffling as finding a fresh lava flow in the middle of an ice-covered continent. No known volcanic eruptions, either past or recent, could have deposited basalt at this location. The anomaly's basalt stands isolated, lacking any connection to regional geology, leaving experts struggling to place it within any conventional formation process. Further microscopic examinations revealed that the basalt showed unmistakable signs of intense thermal shock. Its crystal structures bore the marks of exposure to incredible temperatures, thousands of degrees Celsius, followed by rapid cooling. This sequence is typical of volcanic activity or impacts involving extreme heat, but here volcanic origins fail to explain the anomaly's context or its extraordinary shape. Analysts propose the possibility that the rock formed as a result of a meteorite impact. Meteorite strikes can produce localized high heat, melting stone, and leaving behind shock-altered basalt. Yet, this hypothesis falters against the observed physical order. An impact of such magnitude would shatter and scatter fragments chaotically, creating glassy, chaotic masses rather than preserving walls, corridors, and sharp right angles. The pristine geometric features seen beneath the water clash violently with the expected remnants of an impact. Instead of chaotic debris, the anomaly preserves architectural geometry impossible to reconcile with a meteorite's violent explosion. The basalt appears both melted and sculpted, sealed into a tight, cohesive mass that resists natural destruction. This paradox reveals an object caught between the forces of raw natural disaster and deliberate construction. The materials seem to have been exposed to a blaze so wild it melted surface layers, but in doing so, preserved complex and precise forms, like a casting formed instantly under infernal heat. The rock's violent origin and remarkable structure challenge basic geological logic. Scientists are left questioning what kind of event or technology could generate such a strange fusion of fire and form. Extant natural forces fail to produce anything matching this anomaly's combined features, suggesting it might be an artifact of unknown origins. The basalt's secrets may hide clues not only about ancient catastrophes, but also about advanced phenomena beyond current understanding. Analysis continues to push boundaries as the rock samples resist simple categorization. The intensity of heat recorded by the crystalline structure remains an enigma, especially given the lack of any known geological process in the area that could induce it. This pushes the anomaly into a realm where science must confront its limitations. The findings compel the scientific community to revisit fundamental assumptions, sowing seeds of doubt about what forces or technologies shaped this formation. But the paradox becomes grimmer when considering the object's physical form alongside its fiery history. The strange coexistence of ordered design and scorched stone brings us to an even deeper mystery. How could the anomaly be both engineered and melted at once? The paradox of form and fire. The Baltic Sea anomaly presents a bewildering contradiction. It is simultaneously a product of intense heat and deliberate architecture. The formation's sharp right angles, straight walls, and circular frames point to intelligent design, structures that nature steadfastly avoids. Yet, these designs are bound in a material clearly altered by infernal temperatures, suggesting it was forged in flames fierce enough to melt rock. No known natural process can carve perfect angles and preserve them through the melting and cooling of basalt. Water, wind, and sediment typically round or erode such edges, and a lava flow would obliterate any precise form. Yet, here sits an object maintaining impeccable geometric integrity beneath a scorched, hardened crust. This anomaly forces a collision between the inorganic chaos of fire and the ordered precision of engineering. Scientists are baffled because melting stone and sculpting sharp, preserved architecture lie on opposite ends of natural possibility. The closest analog might be industrial processes where humans deliberately cast molten rock or ceramics into precise shapes. But no evidence suggests prehistoric or ancient societies possessed such underwater smelting capabilities or technologies. Moreover, a meteorite impact, while capable of unleashing vast heat, would explode violently, ravaging any pre-existing form and leaving no room for the neat corridors and window-like frames observed. The anomaly instead appears to be a sort of fossilized machine, a shell of technology sealed instantly by an extreme thermal event that preserved its form rather than destroying it. This paradox suggests we may be facing a carefully preserved remnant of high technology, frozen mid-transformation by a catastrophic energy event. The idea that the material is both geological and architectural challenges the boundaries between natural history and human or non-human craftsmanship. The anomaly could represent the corpse of technology, a structure once functional that endured a thermonuclear or equivalent disaster, its outer layers melted, molecular bonds transformed, then locked in time through petrification. Such a scenario accounts for the fusion of scorched basalt-like material with eerily preserved geometric shapes. This concept forces a profound reconsideration of history and technology, suggesting lost civilizations or ancient visitors once produced machines or constructs far beyond current imagination. It also raises deep questions about how many other ordinary geological formations might conceal similar petrified relics in Earth's hidden depths. The Baltic anomaly, in confronting us with this paradox, becomes a silent and chilling sentinel. It reminds us that the lines separating natural formations and relics of forgotten technology might be far thinner than science has admitted, challenging us to expand our search beyond the surface and question what else the ocean conceals. As the mystery deepens, the implications ripple outward, inviting us to peer with fresh eyes at the shadows below, where fire and form collide in eternal enigma. A rumored technological corpse. When all geological and physical impossibilities are stripped away, the Baltic Sea anomaly emerges as something that defies conventional explanation, a relic not of nature, but of technology long dead. The evidence points to a petrified structure once whole and functional, now trapped beneath layers of stone and sediment. Scientists describe it not as living or biological, but as the corpse of technology, a remnant of an advanced machine, vehicle, or construction ravaged by a cataclysmic energy event. This event likely involved heat so intense it melted the anomaly's outer layers, fusing metal, composites, or synthetic materials with the surrounding sediments. The result? is a solid shell, mistakenly classified as basalt, but bearing scars of molecular transformation. Far from a natural rock, this shell preserves the form of a constructed skeleton, walls, frames, and circular openings faintly visible beneath charred mineral layers. The structure's survival demands extraordinary hardness and density, explaining why it resists millennia of ocean pressure and erosion. Unlike typical wreckage, it remains intact as a ghostly silhouette beneath the waves. The anomaly is neither fully understood nor restorable, but offers a snapshot frozen in geological time of technology's final moments under destructive forces. This discovery forces a radical reconsideration of history and the presence of advanced civilizations in Earth's distant past. The Baltic anomaly is not just a curiosity. It's a reminder that remnants of sophisticated technological presences may lie hidden, swallowed by the ocean, and disguised as ordinary landscape. This challenges the orthodox narrative that Earth's technological progress always moved linearly upwards. The implication is chilling. How many other rocks and formations scattered across the ocean floors could actually be silent tombs of extinct technologies, their stories buried beneath layers of natural disguise? We may have been searching for gleaming metal and flashing lights, unaware that the true evidence has long since petrified into cold stone. Such a possibility reshapes our understanding of archaeology, geology, and anthropology, blurring the lines between man-made and natural, past and present, science and mystery. It suggests humanity's knowledge remains limited, and the ocean holds secrets beyond modern reach, preserved by time and hidden in plain sight. The Baltic Sea anomaly confronts us with an eerie reality. Some technologies are so old, so alien to our understanding, that their only trace is a scorched, geometric fossil in the deep. It compels a humbling recognition of how much we have yet to uncover beneath the waves. Whether it is a relic of an ancient civilization, an extraterrestrial craft, or a forgotten human invention lost to prehistory, the anomaly whispers of a technology too advanced, too catastrophic, to survive intact. It stands as a muted testament to forces and knowledge beyond our current grasp. In the shadowy depths, the Baltic Sea anomaly remains a silent guardian of a hidden past, challenging us to look deeper and question what might be lying silently beneath the ocean's surface. We stand at the edge of discovery, where science meets the unknown, and the truth is more unsettling than we imagined. The Baltic Sea anomaly has shattered our understanding of nature and technology beneath the waves. It forces us to rethink history, challenging what we believe about ancient worlds and lost civilizations. If this mystery fascinates you, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. There's so much more beneath the surface waiting to be uncovered.